What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, when it rains it pours. So Jesus' Skyline is back there and it's broken, and so is the Miata. You want to tell him, Jesus?
So what happened was, about a week ago I was going to get some food. I parked the car. I noticed a little bit of steam was coming out of the hood. I'm like, okay, that's not good. So I popped it, and it turned out radiator cap had just popped off, so I didn't think anything of it. Put some fluid in the next morning, and then I drove here so we could clean up the garage. And then he's like, hey, bit of smoke coming out the hood. And I'm like, what? Because I thought it was just the cap. We're assuming it's the radiator because you just see steam coming out, but we couldn't actually pinpoint it.
Pretty much Jesus' bad luck continues. So the plan is, instead of just replacing parts, even though we're pretty sure it's the radiator, we're just going to pressure test it just to make sure it is. So the way you test a cooling system is, well, you have to have a special tool that typically hooks onto the radiator. There are two different attachments, obviously, because there's different radiators. So I need to figure out which one's which. Okay, so that one's too tiny. This one will then just come on. We then take this, attach it on. These just literally screw on. Yep, locked in place. Boom. So then the radiator cap says 0.9, and I'm going to assume that's bars. So that's about 13 PSI. So we're gonna bring this up to about 13 PSI, and then we'll see if it holds pressure. All right guys, so I have to make a little bit of adjustment because this isn't actually building pressure because I had this on wrong. So there you go. Now it's gonna build pressure. So we're gonna bring this on up to, bring it to about 15. I don't want to bring it to much more because if you build too much pressure, you can actually break stuff. We're good now. Well guys, it's starting to rain outside, so we ended up pushing the Skyline a little bit further than pushing this thing inside. As we're looking around, we're actually not seeing any coolant leaks. So what we're thinking is that when the radiator cap came off, coolant got, everywhere, of course, and it's not out of the question because like there's still coolant from here. And just for some context, Rigoberto's to his house is less than a mile, and then his house to here again is like another mile. I don't think it's out of the question that not everything was like burned off or evaporated. How do you feel, Jesus?
Pretty good. This is an absolute win for me because I thought I went from one broken car to another broken car. Because you let me borrow your truck for the weekend, it was nice and all, but it's not the Miata.
It's not your baby. So guys, I do want to be honest with you that I kind of think the reason why we might have thought it could have been a cracked radiator or something is that we were just being hypersensitive or overly cautious. I don't know the right way to put it, because with the Skyline and stuff just breaking down fresh in our minds, and then us seeing the steam off of here, we just immediately assumed something was wrong when it's literally just a radiator cap.
I start driving the car again. I'll still keep an eye on everything just to be sure like nothing is wrong, but this is real good news.
So yeah, we're gonna move his car, and then from there we're gonna pull my car up and figure out the whole rear end thing. So Jesus, well, and I guess everyone else, right here is the Endlink, and as you can see, it's been hitting the chassis right there and digging into it. Here at the crash bolts, they actually have more adjustment than like the BCs, for example. And so because of that, I pushed it too far inward, which actually caused that to happen. And it just means that I can't run all the camber when it comes to like my final setting. So I'll have to make some compromise.
It's like an easy fix, and it looks like nothing's broken.
In case you aren't familiar with MR2s, or I guess McPherson strut setups in general, the way you would adjust the camber is here at the crash bolts. So you loosen these up and you get adjustment to go forward, or I guess more inward or outward. I do want to note that actually a lot of alignment shops won't even mess with it. So like if you go to most chain stores, they'll just say it's non-adjustable. That's wrong. And I personally would recommend just trying to find a good shop that's willing to do the specs that you want, because a lot of shops really won't, or if they say they do, they don't do a good job at it. So if you find a good shop, stick with them because they're hard to come by. That's one. So Yeah, so now there's barely any room there. Yeah, I'm kind of not sure what to do here, because even with adjusting it all the way to the positive camber setting, there's maybe a couple millimeters of space. That's not what I want, because I'd essentially have to run positive camber just to run the Endlinks. It's not what I want to do, and it's not ideal. I put the car back together mainly because I'm just going to walk away today, because like this is super frustrating, and I know when I'm frustrated I don't work well. I mean, luckily I have tomorrow to get this figured out, but that's literally it, because in the next few days it's nothing but work and then the track day.
So I have to get this figured out or make a decision by tomorrow. What's up, guys? It's a few days later and I'm very glad I ended up walking away. It let me think with some clarity and I was able to find a good solution. Initially, I thought that I might be able just to flip the end links, and I'm a real visual person, so I did that even though I thought there might be some issues. And of course I was right. The bottom of the end link was at a super weird angle, and I think best case scenario, it would cause premature wear. Worst case scenario, I do think the part could just potentially fail. So yeah, that was definitely a no-go. But then I went and I dug through my bin of parts and I ended up finding this old Endlink, which is for my V6 MR2. Now there is a size difference. That's because this Endlink is meant for a OE strut setup and it's meant to go on the front. So let's just ignore that. The big thing is, look at the ends here. This one is a lot bigger than this one. Now on my V6 MR2, I'm running those Endlinks, except I'm running the rear ones. So those are shorter. So what I ended up doing was I stole the ones from the V6 MR2 and I threw them on this car.
And as you can see here, I can put my finger right there. There is so much space, and this will not be hitting the chassis anymore.
I already have other Endlinks for the V6 MR2, so that wasn't too big of a deal that I was stealing parts off of it. Anyways, guys, I'm pretty excited. Tomorrow morning, I'll be leaving to go to ORP, which is the first time I've been there in like 3 years. Anyways, I have to go because I have to get the car put back together to go get an alignment, since I have to be at the shop in literally 10 minutes. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys next week at Oregon Raceway Park.